Hope in Jesus. That's what we have as Christian that keeps us going. Some of the loved one that we've lost has hit home hard. But God has been preparing this church all this quarter. That's my realization. I don't know about you. He has been preparing us. So when these loss hit home so hard, we can continue to have hope, knowing that God is still in control. This week's lesson talks about a biblical worldview. The biblical worldview counters the Greek philosophy of dualism, which states that body is bad, but the spirit is good. Now, that's a total, blatant contradiction to the biblical worldview, to the biblical teaching that you and I are learning and being taught on a regular basis, on a daily basis. The world, or most of the world believes, or their philosophy is, the body is bad. Spirit is good. Dualism claims that in a mortal body, an eternal soul is enslaved. You're trapped, which will be deliberated at the point of every person's death. So the only time that it is your soul is delivered is when you die. But that's not what the Bible teaches us, right? When God created in 6 days everything that we know of, after each day, what did he say? What did he say? God is not a liar. Author of truth, author of life. Every day after each segment of creation, he said, it is good. But we are led at times in the world to believe that the body is bad. Now, on the sixth day when God created Adam and Eve, what did he say? Very good. So the body is necessary. God saw it was necessary, so he molded the sculpture as an artist, the best artist you could ever have. He molded Adam with his own hand. He shaped him with his own hand. Took a rib out of Adam and created what? Who? The woman. And he said, very, very good. So yes, the body and the breath of God is together and is very good. The biblical worldview of human nature is a unity of all aspects of our existence, namely physical, mental, intellectual, emotional, spiritual, and social. Our being is a unit. Isn't that true? Our entire being is a unit. And God desires to change our being. To achieve this transformation, he speaks to us. According to Ellen White stresses that the Lord communicates with us through the brain. The brain nerves which communicate with the entire system are the only medium through which heaven can communicate to man and affect his inmost life. Hence, one of the reasons why I love the text, Luke 2:52, as much as I do. And Jesus grows in what? In wisdom. Wise, brain, minds, mindset. Life according to the Spirit. The spiritual dimension of our lives is of the utmost importance and must be properly cultivated. The spiritual dimension of our lives What would you say this morning? Because I'd like to have some participation. What would you say? Give me an example of a spiritual dimension. Spiritual dimension. Worship. What else? Spiritual dimension. Would prayer be one of them? Would praising God be one of them? Right? Would the way you live be one of them? Because that could also reflect spiritually, right? Because it's a direct translation of your spiritual health based on how you live also, right? Then we have the body, physical aspect. Human are flesh. They also are dust taken from the ground, and to dust they must return. So we know that yet there's a time there can be a separation, right? God put everything together, one unit, but there's a possibility, there's a time that that unit can be split. Isn't that right? That's when you die. Which means that we are fragile and mortal. Yet Paul encourages believers to be filled with the Spirit in order to serve the glorify God in their body. So while you're still in your body with the Spirit of God, you're glorifying God. You're living for God. You're living for Jesus. Your mindset is to follow Jesus, to let the Spirit lead you in the body. So how you treat your body, what you do in your body, with your body, is very, very important. The soul, the heart, emotional, intellectual, and volitional aspect. The Hebrew Bible underlines the notion of heart in many verses. And the heart is understood to be symbolically a place of thoughts and feelings, sentiments, right? In the Bible, the heart represents more than just a physical organ and pumps blood. It symbolizes a seat of the emotions, a place where we decide things, okay? People tell you that I love you from the bottom of my heart, but really what is loving is really what you're thinking, right? Your brain, your mind, right? It represents our inner life, the deep down life of our motives, goals, and desires, the heart. And then we have the social aspect. Social life is a very important aspect of our existence. We are created to be with each other. When God looked at Adam and saw that Adam was a bit sad, right? He was a bit, uncomfortable. But God knew what he wanted, so he created woman as a companion, as an equal for Adam. So we are social beings. We need each other. We need the church. The church is comprised of many bodies, but it's one unit. That's why it is encouraged for us to think, to act, to teach, to preach as one unit. It doesn't make you a robot. It just brings you as a unit in unity, having the same message. The lesson talks about the mind of Christ. Paul makes it clear that every believer should be a spiritual person. Every believer should be what? A spiritual person. We can have the mind of Christ only when we discern spiritual things spiritually and are guided by the Spirit of God. Go ahead, my brother. It's the teacher's
you're just
section.
You're just expounding upon the whole teacher.
Right.
We haven't started the lesson yet?
Right.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
All right? It's the whole summarization of the whole lesson, teacher's lesson. All right? So we can have the mindset of Christ only when we discern spiritual things. So we have to remain on a spiritual path, connected with Jesus, connected with God, connected with the Holy Spirit, letting the Holy Spirit lead your life. For the Christian, the hope of immortality is bound up with the resurrection of Christ. So no matter what we know can happen, we know that we have hope in Jesus Christ. That no matter what the separation is, it's temporary. It's temporary. Yes, my sister.
This is the question. You said about the mind of Christ, and as Christian, we have to daily commit ourselves to God to have that.
I'm sorry, say the question again.
You talk about having the mind of Christ, and as Christian, you said that it's something that we have to do daily. We have to surrender to God to have that mind. Enoch did it, and it was proven unto him. But living in this world, how is it possible to pull yourself away from the world, yet still we are in the world?
Well, trusting in the Holy Spirit leading you, having faith in God, knowing that He has gone through all that He went through, knowing that He says that you will never get more than you can handle. He has gone through all the process of temptation to cover it all for us. It goes right back. It's like a circle, right? It goes right back to trusting God in the first place. It goes right back to trusting Jesus in the first place. It goes right back to the source that Jesus or God left for us, which is His Word. And when we go into His Word, it says, trust and obey. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lead not to your own understanding. So if you can do that, isolate yourself, remove self, and just completely, entirely trust in God, you'll be fine. You'll walk the walk. You'll talk the talk.
I think my dear sister wondered, in this world where is hustle and bustle, how do you do that? We're going to have to follow Jesus every moment of our lives. Otherwise, we will be swallowed up in this hustle and bustle world. And we can only do that by His grace and the Holy Spirit.
This brings me to the story of Peter walking on the water, right? I don't know if this is the best